Greetings, fantasy football fans. Live from the Make the Waffle Studios here in beautiful Longmont, Colorado. I am bringing you a little preseason update on 16-team Dynasty League, one quarterback league that I took over an orphan. If you watched the previous video on this team, have had limited success with this, but feeling pretty good about things now. So if you really want a roster breakdown, you can kind of go look again at the previous video. I went through both my spreadsheet that you can see here. I also went through Sleeper and talked a little bit about, how these players came about and that sort of thing. Big thing you probably ought to know is I traded away Lamar Jackson this offseason, and I didn't really mess around with it. I waited, in my opinion, pretty long time, several weeks, for offers, and I really only got one, and that one offer was Mike Evans for Lamar Jackson and a pick swap, fourth round pitch swap. I actually thought there was a future pick in there as well, but there was not. So I didn't get that much for Lamar Jackson. You got to know, number one, in a one quarterback league, he's just not that valuable. I can just tell you that now from experience. And regardless of what other people are telling you, as far as rankings or talent or anything else, what you got to understand is the player's only worth what your league tells you it's worth. And when you put Lamar Jackson out there and you just don't have anybody coming at you clamoring to get him, then he's not worth that much. So that was pretty much what I learned there. Again, MVP as far as, Ring of Honor players on this team, probably Brown, who I'm going to keep for the Bengals. I plan on just riding him probably all the way out, however his career goes. Brian Thomas struggled last year. I'm probably going to still keep riding that horse. He does not hit my bench very often. Most of the time I've got him in the lineup. But you'll see when I get to the reason for this video, which is a recap of the draft. I did ensure that a little bit. I think Tyler Warden's well on his way to being probably one of the better team players on this team. Judkins also. When you look at trading away Christian McCaffrey, which I did, Isaiah Pacheco, which I did, but picking up a guy who started 12 out of 13 weeks for you and is coming back this year looking great with a pretty good Cleveland offensive line and really subpar quarterback play. He's going to be their workhorse. So I'm looking forward to that very much. I wanted to scroll down here, give you an idea of how the draft went. So first things first, we went with Boston, speaking of Cleveland, with the 110. So I didn't end up trading it out. I didn't end up trading it down. I will tell you, this is one of the rare drafts where I pretty much stood pat. I didn't change a whole lot of picks. I didn't do a whole lot of trading. There wasn't a whole lot of action either, so probably not too many opportunities to do so anyway. But you'll find if you see some other videos from me for some other drafts, I did do some moving. One of the priorities, actually, I have really been focusing on has been the 2027 draft. If I could move picks or move players for 2027 picks, you'll see one league in particular I definitely did acquire a lot of 2027 picks. In fact, I can think of two leagues off the top of my head where that happened. So anyway, we went with Boston, the first round pick. We actually did have a shot at Stowers. I even mentioned in the other video I might be looking at him. My problem with that is I think I needed to ensure my Brian Thomas decision-making processes more than I needed to defend my Tyler Warren decision-making processes. So it was a need thing. It was actually a better position, better player thing. I do think Boston is a better player than Stowers as well. So I'm going to go to draft results here and just kind of give you an idea of how things went. Love that little sound that Sleeper gives you here. So it went pretty much according to plan. Love, Tate, Price. Mendoza went a little high. For this league, he should not, in my opinion, have gone that high. It's a one quarterback league, and I just don't think he's worth a fourth pick in the first round. I just don't. But that's me. Tyson, Lemon, Tate, I think these are all pretty self-explanatory picks right here. Here went Sadiq, so I didn't even get a shot at him. I was a little surprised at that. Concepcion and Cooper come along, and that looked like pretty, um, pretty much a status quo, um, chalky kind of first round. Here I am at 110, and I hit Boston, and Stowers went right after. Um, if I didn't have Warren, I would be a little upset about that, but I do, and I just don't know that much about Stowers. So um, I was thinking of Coleman there. You'll see he went at 14, and um, and again, I'm okay not getting him either. I really feel like in the long run, my roster construction has gone pretty well. So first round, Boston for Cleveland, and um, get that nice sound again. Um, let's jump to round two. This one might be one that ends up haunting me fantasy football wise. I went with Eli Heidenreich, and I have picked him up in several leagues. This was probably the earliest I picked him up in any league. And probably maybe even the earliest I've seen him go. Although I will say there's been some leagues where he's gone sooner than I thought he would. Uh, I'm a Steeler fan, and I'm a Heidenreich fan, and I just feel like there's something here. If he ends up getting cut, then so be it. But I wanted to take my guy. So in taking my guy, let's go back. Here I am at the 210. And here are the guys that went before. And if you'll notice, probably Stribling would be the one I would really want out of all these guys that went before him. And when I go to looking at afterward, interestingly enough, this guy for Kansas City, I probably should have considered more seriously because that was a good pick for Soto Moses here. But really, none of these guys afterward was I looking too much into either. I do think Allen probably was maybe a better running back pick than Heidenreich. But again, I just feel like if you want your guy, you go get your guy. And in this whole second round, there just wasn't much really that was jumping out at me anyway. So I didn't worry about it too much. I will say later on in other drafts, and this draft happened quite some time ago. I definitely started with the Johnson and the Allen ahead of Heidenreich rather than the other way around. So, but this was early. This was like right after the draft had occurred. So we didn't really know exactly where these guys were going to fall ADP wise and that sort of thing. So second round, Heidenreich. Third round, I went for Douglas for, well, actually I have a couple of third round picks here. First of all, I went with Raridon as a tight end. So that was kind of my Stowers insurance that I didn't pick up. And then I went Douglas, who is a Miami receiver. And I think the Miami roster is in dire straits. I think they've got a lot of, improving to do. So if you look through here, I do like Bryce Lance, but I actually think that was a little early for him. And I think I do like Coleman. I think that was a little early for him. So here I come in with the New England tight end, who Drake May is now going to have a full career with, most likely. So I feel like Raridon was probably a good pick here. And then end of the third round, I end up with Douglas, who in my opinion probably should have been picked ahead of Coleman. Speaking of Miami rookie receivers. So last but not least, two fourth round picks. And this again was part of the Lamar Jackson trade. And who cares, I guess, as far as fourth round picks go in a 16 team league. But what I decided to do was ensure my Lamar Jackson trade a little bit. And so if you'll notice, I went with Peyton at 4-3, and I went Nussmeier at 4-5, and I'm a little surprised that Nussmeier was still there. So I went quarterback at 4-3 and 4-5. And in a one quarterback league, again, I think, fourth round picks on quarterbacks are okay, because I just don't know how valuable they are. If you got a guy that's, putting up the 35 a week, then great. Then you're doing fine. But for there to be 16 teams and not that many quarterbacks that can do that, they just seem to lose their value. So that was the recap anyway, as far as the rookie draft goes with this team. I would also show you, I guess, if I go back to my roster, it tells me here I am now 6 players over my roster limit. So previous video, I was 1 player over, and now I've picked up 5 extra rookies. And so now I'm way over the roster limit. The one thing I would encourage younger players to do is be patient. I don't have to make decisions on this until it is time to set my week 1 lineup, which is honestly like a Wednesday night this year. Patriots, Seahawks, and then there's a Thursday night game after that, I think. So I've got a lot of time before I really have to decide that I have to cut someone, and so therefore I'm not. I'm putting some people on the trade block. I'm seeing if people want, to offer me some picks or something for some players, but in the long run, I am willing to sit and wait through training camps, see how things go, see if someone ends up injured or whatever, and then I can make some decisions then. Right now, Malik Willis looks like my starting quarterback. I got to be honest, that doesn't upset me. I feel like I have as good a chance with him as I did with Lamar Jackson. I really do. We're going to go Brown at the starting running back spot, and again, I'm likely just riding him all the way to his retirement. And then my receivers are Evans and Thomas, and I can just tell you now, there's some potential there for some awesomeness if we can, get things to fall just right. If I'm Brock Purdy, I'm throwing to Mike Evans in the end zone at least, 3-4 times a game. So maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. I think Thomas is a talent, and I think he's going to come back this year. I really hope so. Starting lineup Warrior, Tyler Warren. Starting lineup Warrior, Quinshon Judkins. I don't know how well Harvey's going to work out, and I don't know how well Gainwell's going to work out, but, hey, I've got 4 starting running backs here. If half of those work out, I'm doing pretty good. I think so. The taxi squad now has taken a little bit of a shift. We've got Peyton and Nussmeier down here, along with Milroe and Gabriel. So these 2 are kind of holdovers on the taxi squad, and these 2 are kind of brand new. But I have found, especially in the 1 quarterback league, just using the taxi spot for some young arms is probably the way that's going to go, because these other guys have to kind of go in and play, I think. I think Raridon's going to end up playing this year for sure. Trying to trade Schultz, trying to trade Kirk. I think Boston's going to play this year. And here's Douglas. Here's Pearsall, who I think is going to be worthy of starting, and I don't even have him in my lineup right now. Don't know what's going to happen with Heidenreich. We'll see. Same thing with Gordon, and so on. And here's really my backup quarterback right now, Shedeur Sanders. Something happens to him. I've got Dylan Gabriel, and I don't know if the other starter, who I can't think of his name, but he was really good for a while, and then just Deshaun Watson. I don't know what he's going to have this year, so we'll see. And then if it turns out that, I've screwed myself by getting rid of Jackson, honestly, I think I've screwed myself by keeping Jackson. So at that point, I think I'm just breaking even. But that is the update for the Absurdly Grim safety video team in the Romper Room 4.0. We're going into the 4th season of this league, one of my older dynasty leagues. And again, I took over an orphan. I didn't get to draft this one really up front. So there's very few players, though, by now that I didn't have say on. Brown was definitely a startup draft guy. And that's it in my starting lineup. Everybody else is someone that I picked up. So excuse time's probably getting a little thin. It's probably time to either start being good or not. But hopefully, week to week, I'll be able to update you on how this one's going. And, again, we'll try and march it all the way to the Romper Room 4.0 championship. You guys stay safe out there, and I'll check back in with you again at a later time.